Lydia Thorpe is an Australian independent senator. She was a member of the Australian Greens until February 2023, when she quit the party over disagreements concerning the Indigenous voice to Parliament. Despite this, the Greens still maintain her webpage. I can only assume because they like being associated with that type of person. I mean, people who are politically rebellious and extreme in their views, because that's certainly how you could describe Senator Thorpe. She often uses quite inflammatory and hostile language. For example, she confronted police last year during a protest outside Melbourne immigration transit accommodation, where a busload of handcuffed detainees were being transferred to Christmas Island, and she screamed at the officers, "You are the criminals. You are the only criminals on this land. How dare you do that to innocent people?" She also walked into Parliament and called the Queen a coloniser while making her oath of allegiance in the Senate. "I, Sovereign Lidia Thorpe, do solemnly and sincerely swear that I'll be faithful and bear true allegiance to the colonising Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Throughout the entire performance, she gave a Black Power salute. No, not that salute, although she didn't have many nice things to say about Israel recently while wearing a Palestinian scarf in Parliament.
Not once was the illegal apartheid state of Israel condemned for their inhuman, violent, repressive siege. The world jumped up and down, condemning, supporting, sympathising with the occupier. Palestinians live with a generational trauma of oppression and dispossession. They continue to fight for sovereignty, liberation and land back, as do First Peoples of this country. I'm not surprised that the Australian government, which is itself a legal occupier of these very lands, condones illegal occupation of other lands and sides with an oppressive regime. Governments across the world, in an attempt to address anti-Semitism and somehow redress the horrors of the Holocaust, are allowing Israel to get away with apartheid, ethnic cleansing, detention of children, torture, restriction of movement and other freedoms, and the illegal occupation of land.
At various times, Senator Thorpe has called Australian occupation a war. For example, at an Australia Day, Invasion Day, protest this year, she brandished a war stick and screamed, "This is a war. They are still killing us. They are still killing our babies. What do we have to celebrate in our country?" Obviously, she has done so many other controversial things, far too many to mention here. Imagine if you did even half the stuff she's done. Do you think you'd still have a job? It's amazing the Parliament's let her get away with all this. I doubt she'd have the same freedoms elsewhere. Believe it or not, though, there is something that Senator Thorpe and I agree on. We both did not want this recent referendum.
This referendum has done nothing but hurt people, divide communities, divide families, and we know, literally, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people right now are killing themselves as a result of this referendum.
But I suppose it comes as no surprise to many of you that Lydia Thorpe is part of the so-called Blak Sovereign Movement. Just looking at the name alone and based on Senator Thorpe's previous actions and comments, I presume the movement is only open to certain people based on their ancestry. That immediately indicates to me that it's very divisive. Sovereignty is defined as supreme power or authority. So I can only assume that the ultimate goal of the Blak Sovereign Movement is for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people to have total control and authority over Australia. I don't think this could ever be achieved peacefully. Senator Thorpe has stated many times that sovereignty was never ceded. In an interview in December last year with Junkie, she made it clear that the end goal of the Blak Sovereign Movement is for Australia to cut ties with the Crown and Commonwealth and form a self-governing nation, a so-called Black Republic. We need to end that war first, and then through a treaty, we could have a republic. We need black people, First Nations people in this country to be in the driver's seat. In her own words,
"This country has a strong grassroots Blak Sovereign Movement full of staunch and committed warriors. And I want to represent that movement fully in this Parliament. First Nations sovereignty is crucial. My focus now is to grow and amplify the Blak Sovereign Movement in this country, something we've never had. There is a Blak Sovereign Movement out there that no one wants to listen to, so I'll be their voice to defend our sovereignty, to save Black lives. This is my goal. Keep infiltrating, keep your integrity, and keep the fire burning. But, more importantly, keep our fight alive.
To be clear, not one of you listening stole anybody's land, and not one of you listening had any land stolen from you, because none of you are more than 200 years old. We're talking about our ancestors. Yes, some of our ancestors committed crimes, and yes, some of our ancestors had crimes committed against them, but those people aren't us. We didn't participate in whatever horrors happened in history. But as Senator Thorpe said right at the end of that clip, the most important thing for the Blak Sovereign Movement is to keep the fight alive. That is, they don't want to forget what happened 200 odd years ago. They want their members to be perpetually angry so that this fight rages on, and they won't stop. Give them an inch and they'll take a mile. For them, this won't be over until they have sovereignty over every last piece of Australia.